I come to the floor incredibly disappointed that we can't seem to move forward on what should be a non-controversial, powerful, and bipartisan effort. I think we can all agree here in the Senate that we must do more to combat human trafficking and help the victims of this heinous act. And I was looking forward to, I believe, Senator Corker offering an amendment on legislation that passed out of the Foreign Relations Committee that would establish a private, nonprofit grant-making institution known as the End Slavery Initiative Foundation to reduce the worst forms of forced labor and sexual servitude around the world. I was looking forward to having a serious debate about this important issue, and it is truly unfortunate that the debate has been sidelined by matters that are not to the core of the trafficking issue. But Madam President, I rise today to specifically address an amendment that I understand is pending to attempt to hijack our debate about human trafficking. This amendment is out of place and out of step with everything I believe we stand for in the Senate. It's an amendment to a bill that seeks to amend the Constitution of the United States. It is an amendment offered by a Republican colleague that grows the government and increases taxes. It is an amendment to a trafficking bill that could make people more likely to be trafficked. I'm talking about the amendment to eliminate birthright citizenship and end the people's right to be citizens by being born here on American soil. Birthright citizenship is a bedrock principle found not in law but in the Constitution. The 14th Amendment states clearly that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. For 115 years, the obvious and plain meaning that people born on American soil are American citizens have been affirmed before the Supreme Court and can only be changed by a constitutional amendment. Now, my colleague from Louisiana instead presents a bill and tries to argue with the Supreme Court and the English language by claiming undocumented immigrants are not subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Is he really suggesting, for example, that if an undocumented immigrant was brought to court, he or she wouldn't be subject to the court's jurisdiction? Clearly not. And the civil rights leaders who drafted the 14th Amendment didn't think so either. Instead, the 14th Amendment was adopted after the infamous Dred Scott decision to make sure the United States never has an unequal class system. And this principle, that America isn't a country club, is a profound American value. If my friend from Louisiana wants to change the Constitution, he should abide by the framework that our founding fathers set up. If a senator wants to make a monumental change to how our nation defines citizenship in the Constitution, he or she must go to the constitutional amending process our founding fathers set up to make sure we have widespread and overwhelming consensus. That's why the founders created a process in which amending the Constitution needed a broad swath of the American population to say, yes, that is worthy of changing the Constitution that has worked so well for us for so many years. We are here to protect the Constitution, and the 14th Amendment is sacrosanct and too important to be defined by the political and discriminatory impulses of any member of Congress. But beyond trying to change our Constitution with a piece of legislation, my friend from Louisiana's amendment to a human trafficking bill could make human trafficking worse. Eliminating birthright citizenship would create a perpetual class of undocumented immigrants, ironically growing the undocumented population by ensuring that their children born here would become undocumented, and their children and their children's children could never come out of the shadows and be equal under the law. This new permanent underclass would inevitably lead to some without any citizenship in any country. In other words, they would be stateless. This new underclass would be subject to the worst forms of exploitation, including for some becoming victims of human trafficking themselves. But the irony doesn't stop there. For the party of limited government and low taxes, my friend from Louisiana proposes an amendment that would put the Department of Homeland Security in every delivery room and require the creation of a brand new extensive bureaucracy with burdensome procedures. It would also create a de facto birth tax for people to have to go back and prove their citizenship. My friend from Louisiana tries to justify all of this by saying it will prevent people coming to the United States solely to give birth. But I don't even know if he truly believes that explanation. It ignores the plain fact that the practice that he describes is already illegal under the law. If he wants to get into discussion about enforcing the existing law, I am always willing to talk about the need for resources to the men and women in law enforcement in order to be able to do that. But this amendment wouldn't make the practice he describes one bit more illegal, but it would change the Constitution of the United States by simple passage of the Senate, not as an amendment to the Constitution. This isn't the time, and this isn't a place for an amendment attacking birthright citizenship. A bill isn't the place or the venue to change the Constitution. A bill on human trafficking isn't the time for a measure that might increase human trafficking. And frankly, Madam President, for someone who wants limited government, they shouldn't be put into the Department of Homeland Security in the delivery room. Just another attack on immigrants that is against American values, and in this case, against our Constitution. We can do far better than that.